past few years, we as fans have gone through a lot. Hollywood has completely disrespected some of our favorite franchises, and they don't care. And it's even worse when you have directors, actors, or producers on projects coming out and attacking us for criticizing their poor adaptations. And now, like clockwork, Prime Video's Fallout executive producer claims attempting to please fans is a fool's errand. I have a few things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or through YouTube memberships. Now, this is a very disappointing, but not very surprising situation we find ourselves in because this has happened a plethora of times over the past few years. This is a That Part Place article. It says executive producer for Prime Video's upcoming Fallout series, Jonathan Nolan, shared that he did not set out to please fans and even claimed attempting to do so is a fool's errand. Now, when it comes to this Fallout series, a lot of people were already very skeptical when it was initially announced years ago, and with the first teasers and trailers, while they have not looked completely awful, they definitely do not look like the quality you would expect. A lot of the costumes seem really generic. Like they're made with extremely cheap fabrics and materials, and some of the sets do look cool, but you can tell there is a lot of CGI, which is okay. You can have a lot of CGI in a project and it can still be very good, but with the Fallout series, it's definitely already faced quite a bit of criticism, which is why I think they're already fighting against fans of Fallout because they know that the entire release is probably going to face some level of harsh criticism. It says, as reported by Mary Station, Nolan attended a press event where he was asked about how he balances pleasing fans and creating something to attract new audiences, and he said, "I don't really think you can set out to please the fans or anything, or please anyone other than yourself. I think you have to come into this trying to make the show that you want to make and trusting that as fans of the game," which there's multiple games, so okay, "we would find the pieces that were essential to us and to the game to try to do the best version of those that we can." And he elaborated, "I think it's kind of a fool's errand to try and figure out how to make people happy." And he concluded, "in that way you're going to make yourself happy, and I've made myself very happy with this show." Now, obviously, yes, you have to create something you're passionate about, but also something people will enjoy. These series are being created based on the fans of the video games. If you want to create an entirely new IP, then go for it, but don't take existing IPs, dump the source material, and try to warp them into something else where they only marginally resemble the original, especially with a post-apocalyptic world. Okay, there's a million of these storylines, and you can make a million more, so just make another. Of course, it's not very surprising to hear this because they just want to milk the Fallout name and bring fans of the game in, but that also means you have to respect them. He's purposefully taking something that people like and saying, "fuck the fans, and I don't care what you want, I'm gonna turn this into something that I want." And of course, that is not going to work. We've seen these attempts and failures time and time again. It is so disheartening to hear another executive producer on another project attacking the fans and saying, "well, I didn't actually set out to make this for the fans, I made this for me." And he's talking about how he's made himself really happy, and that's great, congratulations for you, but this show isn't just for you, it's also for the fans, it's also for the viewers, and he just does not care at all whatsoever. It also says it's no surprise that he did not set out to please the fans, as he and his wife previously confirmed the show would be laden with social commentary. They did not go into this wanting to make it, faithful to the games and to the work that came before. They simply wanted to take a well-known name and twist it around, completely disrespect the source material, and this doesn't work. We have seen this happen time and time again. Look at the most notable example of that, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, a series that I've got to be honest, I still had a lot of hope for, even with the bad teasers and trailers leading up to release, because I just just did not want them to put out a terrible Lord of the Rings product, and unfortunately they did. As you can see, the average audience score is a measly 38% over on Rotten Tomatoes, and while they are creating season 2, and that's supposed to come out at the end of this year, and they are going ahead with season 3, I don't think that there is a way to save the show after the awful first season that we got them, of course, throwing away source material, changing around the lore, creating almost fan fiction versions of characters like Elrond and Galadriel. We also had the Wheel of Time, which was another, middling adaptation. This one, of course, was also laden with social commentary. It is sitting at a 60% audience, which of course is a little bit better than Rings of Power, but also had very mediocre looking costumes. The pacing of this series was really off. And then we, of course, have The Witcher, which started off pretty solid. Season 1 of this was actually not half bad, but we found out that that's only really because of Henry Cavill, because he was apparently like a Witcher Bible on set. He was going around. He always wanted them to, tie in lines from the books and also elements from the games, and he was really trying to respect the source material, and that's a big reason why him and the executive producers and the showrunners did not clash well together or work well together, because you have the showrunners who straight up admitted that they disliked Henry Cavill because he was annoying because he cared so much about the source material, and then you had Henry Cavill who simply wanted a half-decent show, and now that he's gone, of course the viewership for this is going to see a massive decline. But as the seasons went on, season 2 strayed away from the material, and then season 3 was basically just a giant fan fiction, and now you have an average audience score of a 54%. And this is what happens when you disregard what audiences want and you disrespect the fans of franchises. It does not work out. I honestly cannot say that I am surprised to hear this from this Prime Video executive producer, but it is extremely disappointing to hear, because of course we all hope that one day with a project, whether it's a season 2 or season 3 of a series or even a new adaptation, that you will have creatives who will see kind of the fan backlash with these other shows or the previous seasons and actually try to do better, to actually try to not disappoint people. But they have continued to double, triple, and quadruple down when it comes to situations like this. And of course, this Fallout series, it might be decent, but after he said very simple statements like this, that he's happy with the show and it's a fool's errand to try and figure out how to make other people happy, he has already pushed away an entire group of people who will not give this series a chance. And I honestly do not think that this individual, this guy, Jonathan Nolan, truly understands just how much he actually needs us, because we are the reason why he got to create this show in the first place. It is because of Fallout game fans that this series actually exists, and that right there is a giant reason why they should be respecting us. But of course, instead, we have statements like this where he's saying it's a fool's errand to try to figure out how to make people happy, which is just so disrespectful and disappointing. This series is about a month away from release, so over the next couple of weeks, as we get more interviews and as we see more teasers and trailers for it, it will be interesting to see if there are any other similar sentiments shared within that material like this, that fans are basically useless and it's a fool's errand to try to please them. But right now, it is not looking good for this new Amazon series. Amazon has made a lot of flops. Again, Wheel of Time, Rings of Power. Now they've got this Fallout series that could be half decent. We won't know for a month until release, but so far it is not looking good. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this, make sure to give it a like, and of course, if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.